it's absolutely, if I wrote the book just about their friendship, it would be the dullest story. It would be the worst thing ever. So I had to find things to do to them. I had to put them in these little, I had to give them jobs to do. I had to put them in situations. I had to find things to do to them that would kind of test their friendship a little bit. And I wanted to see, because of some people write by an outline and I didn't, I wanted to see what would happen to their friendship. So I put them in jail. I put them in court. I've never been in jail, but my sister tells me it's very stressful. I put them in court. I let them face a street mob that wanted to hang them. And I wanted you to see a picture of their friendship, because these are the kinds of friends I think I have, and that's what I wanted to write about. Now in chapter 4, this little incident, they've already had this little altercation in the street. It was a brief little thing, but as life happens, brief little things often land you in a world of trouble. So in chapter 4, they're in jail, and I'm going to read you just a little bit from chapter 4 and what happens next. And I want to read you, Jerry is a wonderful example. I've known Randy's son, Jerry, from the time, how old are you now, Jerry? 24. So I've known him since Jerry was about 4 years old. And Jerry is a wonderful example of kind of getting to sit back and watch somebody grow up through binoculars. I've worked with his daddy for all of Jerry's life. And I would always hear Randy come to work, and I've watched Jerry through all these different stages. And it's weird because I got to watch Jerry grow up through the pictures on his daddy's desk. And I saw Jerry as just a little kid with slobber on his chin, and that blonde hair. And then I saw Jerry a little bit bigger, holding a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuffed animal and having a little t-shirt. And then I saw Jerry a little bit bigger with a worn-out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuffed animal. And then I think his wedding picture, he still had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But I got to watch Jerry grow up, and I kind of used Jerry. There's a character in the book named Emery Christian, and I kind of used Jerry as a model for this young man, because this young man has wonderful character, but he grows up all at once. And I got to see Jerry, and I got to watch him grow up. And I'm going to tell you this little story that happened, and this is a true story. It's not in the book, and I wish I could have figured out a way to include it. Me and Randy, and I talk exactly like I write, so it's me and Randy, and I know that's wrong, but that's how it is. Me and Randy and Josh, another guy that we worked with, and Jerry all went to Atlanta. And the company we worked for at the time, before they sold our jobs to India, they gave us baseball tickets to go see the Atlanta Braves play, and we just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So we had this little rental car, and we all went to the baseball park, and we walked up, and it's baseball, Charlie. I mean, that's American, and you don't get more American than us four. I mean, me and Randy and Jerry and Josh, and so we walked down. We had our baseball tickets in our hand, not thinking nothing of it. And to me, that's not a weapon. That's farmer's friend. I mean, you have to have a pocket knife. And we walked down. We're walking towards a big baseball stadium, and there's all these guards and stuff, and they were checking us and frisking us, and we walked up, and they got to the guy in front of us, and they said, "You got any weapons?" He said, "I got a pocket knife." And they said, "Well, we'll have to keep it." And we went, "Oh." So we all turned around. We walked all the way back to the car. We got back to the car, and now here's where it gets funny. We get back to the car, and Randy always drove in Atlanta. And Randy opens the trunk, and I walk up, and I throw my pocket knife in, and it makes about that much noise. Randy throws his in, and Josh throws his in. Well, when it comes to Jerry, I'm not lying, we hear and a pause, and I'm thinking, son, what are you, and then, wait a minute. And then he goes, I believe that's it. And I'm like, good Lord. So, all these little things, and so I got to know Jerry, and I got to watch him grow up all these years. And whenever you read about Emery, a whole lot of it is based on Jerry Cooper. not the gunfighter. Of course, I've never. If it's a knife fight, sure. But I've never seen Jerry with a gun. So I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you this little introduction here. And there's one little paragraph that kind of touches on the seriousness of watching Jerry's life, and about how there's a difference between a man and Tommy, you know my daddy. You've got to see him work, and my daddy and David Henson's daddy here worked together at Bristol Metals for years, and there's a difference between being a man and taking care of your family and always doing the right thing regardless. Out punk. And I'm going to read to you about that realization whenever you can no longer run back home and hide, and you've got to, there's a one little paragraph in here, and you have to go back, you have to, you sort of have to take, you have to stand in your own shoes. Nobody can take care of it for you. In chapter 4, they're in jail. They've been in jail now, then they're going to court, and we're seeing there's a character called the General, and he's a black man, and he's given his account in court as to what happened in this street fight. So chapter 4 says, Delmer and Emery didn't bother to look back, but I couldn't help myself. I looked over my right shoulder to see a real old colored man stand up and hold his hat to his chest. The poor fellow reminded me of a tree that had been on the wind-facing side of a hill. It looked like all his life he had stood facing things that had broke everything else around him. Even his clothes looked older than the town we were in. Most of the colors had left out a long time ago and just left dusty hints of what they were. His shirt held more sweat stains than the blue color it had once been. His breeches was more patched than anything, but he had a dignity about him, character that didn't have nothing to do with his clothes. The judge kind of let out a breath, made fists out of his hands, and cradled the bottom of his head between his fists, and said, "All right, sir, I'm listening." The colored man began talking slow, warm-sounding words. He told his story about how Charlie Barton had died. His voice had a pretty sound to it, like a team of horses trotting right in step with one another down a lane, with tack and harness jingling, hoofs popping the ground in time. He told how he stood on the porch of the saloon and watched Emery tie his horse beside Charlie's. As Emery come up on the porch, the old man said he warned him that horse was too close to Charlie's. He said the kid laughed and called me an old man and didn't know no better. Sitting at that table, when Emery heard that, he let his head drop a little further. Everything the kid thought he had known about the world had been lost. In just a span of a few days, he had gone from a sod-busting farm kid, new in town, to a man facing a hanging for killing another man in a bar fight that he was on the losing side of. Turns out if he had just took the advice of an old colored man, that more apt as not, Charlie Barton would still be alive. Hateful, but alive. He wouldn't have spent the last days in jail, and me and Delmer would have been on our way to the Bar 8. Right at that minute, reality hit Emery like a train going wide open. Nothing would ever be the same for him. It never is for any man. Once you top the hill from being a boy to living like a man, you can't go back. Emery just hit that place harder than most. There's a truth in life. A truth in life is just called living. If those of you that are old enough, and I don't know when that age is, I don't know when it breaks over. I'm way past it, and Henson don't laugh. You're there too. There's a truth in life that just comes with living, and you realize there's a point that you can never go back. You can go visit, and I could go to my mama's house right now and say, "Mom, I'm hungry," and God love her, she'd feed me. And I could say, "Dad, I need some help with this," and he'd come help me, but I can't go back, and that's a truth that's scary, but I see young people all the time, and I see them, and they're headed full blast into this truth.